Strixhaven's Japanese alternate arts are some of the most breathtaking Magic cards ever printed. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. My friend, today we are here for the joyous experience of talking about the top 5 most breathtaking cards, specifically in terms of Strixhaven's Japanese alternate art cards. Now, I have to put a big disclaimer up here in the air, the little asterisk, because these cards are so beautiful that it was pretty much impossible for me to narrow this down effectively, and it is going to be a very subjective thing. The entire range of these alternate art cards are really awesome. So this top 5 is a personal top 5, all right? Your choices may vary, and they're going to be valid in this case because it's all so good. Now, let's dive in. We're going to start out at number 5, obviously. We're going to be looking at Negate. Now, this is one of the more simple feeling of the artworks that have come along from this Japanese side alternate art scenario. These are the Mystic Archive cards as well, since I didn't say that. These aren't the regular run-of-the-mill cards. These are the special Mystic Archive cards, and on top of that, these are the special Japanese alternate art versions, which, if the information is correct, you have a slim chance of getting an English version with this artwork. I could be wrong about that, but either way, it's a really exciting prospect. So, we're starting out with Negate here, and I appreciate the simplicity of the concept. So, Negate is an instant 1 blue and 1 counter target non-creature spell. A very straightforward and standard issue Magic card in these days. I mean, if you go back far enough in Magic's history, we had like just straight up 2 mana counter a spell. 2 mana counter a spell, get mana equal to its casting cost. Craziness, right? But Negate is about where you should be with a blue counter spell, where it feels good enough but not overwhelming and crushing, right? So the artwork concept on Negate here is really amazing. You have this wizard standing here, and you can see from the bottom left-hand corner that this magic is curling up, and it does have a flame aspect. It seems to be a very traditional thing to do with Magic artwork, to have blue spells being shown countering red spells, right? It makes sense for a number of different reasons. Red has a lot of direct damage spells, so I'm coming right at your face here and negating it, just going boom. No, you can't do that. It makes sense to illustrate it like I'm going to stop the raging fire that's coming towards me. So you have this line of fire that is reaching up into the air, and you have the mage who's extended their hand in a like sort of dismissive flicking it away gesture. Wow. Oh, the bones are old. I don't know if the sound filter is going to filter that out, but there was a distinctive noise that happened when I rotated my wrist like that. Oh, bad news for this body. So, you've got this dismissive flicking gesture that's being made to negate the spell. But what I really like about it is the hand is like illuminated with blue magic, like the magic is flowing up this mage's arm, flicking outwards, and literally smashing reality. The way that the artwork shows, it's like a broken pane of glass, right? Like there's these massive shards that are just flying out in multiple directions. It's like the wizard broke through reality. Like if you had a big sheet of glass in front of them and that's reality, they smashed directly through it to change the reality of that spell and shatter it into fragments. And I just love what's going on with that shattering of glass and like effect, but the mage is standing there so calm and competently while also, bam, getting rid of the spell. Like that is really nice artwork. I mean, admittedly, everything on this list is going to be really nice artwork. So let's move on to the next spell. Number 4, I have to give it to Lightning Helix, all right? So Lightning Helix is an instant. It costs 1 white and 1 red. It deals 3 damage to any target and gives you 3 life. So for 2 mana, that's a really tight little package. You get good value for your mana. It's a really solid card. It's almost like a Lightning Bolt and a Healing Salve like slapped together, but clearly far better because Healing Salve's a garbage card from Magic's history that we'll just move on. Who cares about that? Let's talk about the artwork. the first thing that I really love about this artwork is the fact that this is a white-red card. And the artwork feels almost entirely white and red. Yes, there is some black in there for the armor and things like that, but it instantly conveys the colors of the card through the feel of it in the artwork. And I really, really enjoy that for some reason. I can't explain to you the reason that I do 100%, but it just feels right, you know? And it feels like minimalist in a way where it's like you only really have about, what, 3 colors in the artwork? Mostly you have like white, red, a bit of black. Now there may be some subtle tones of other colors in here that I don't really see, partially because I'm only looking at an image that's like yay big, right? But either way, it's just really striking that it's very clearly white and red. I love the leaves that are around this samurai here. You've got the fact that the sky is cracking open up and above with what looks like jagged lightning. And then there's this kind of like flaming lightning sun that is behind the samurai as well. The artwork is just so striking. The truth is, when it comes to these top 5, you can kind of move them around for me too, because I sat there reorganizing them for a while going, okay, what's number 1? What's number 2? Like, they're all so incredible. And I love this artwork so much. The samurai looks awesome. The whole card is just very gripping to me. I like that. So that's my number 4 choice. Let us move on to my number 3 choice. Now, this is the top 3 is where it got much harder to decide how to organize these. So number 3 is Grapeshot. Now, Grapeshot is a 1 red, 1 colorless sorcery, and it does 1 damage to a target of your choice. And then you have a storm effect where basically it copies itself for every other spell that's been played in the turn. So I will admit, when Grapeshot first came out, I thought that it wasn't that big a deal. I'm like, 2 mana to do 1 damage. Whoop-de-doo. Oh, you get to have storm copies. Oh, who cares? A couple extra copies, no big deal. But it turns out, big deal actually. If you plan things properly, you can actually cast a ton of magic spells in 1 turn and make for massive Grapeshot action, right? So it's actually a far more potent card than I originally thought. But this artwork is absolutely amazing. Compared to the previous card we looked at, which felt a little more minimal, this one has so much going on. And I love the fact that, honestly, when you look at it, you could think at first that maybe this is like a festival event or something like that. You have this beautiful maiden with their hair kind of streaming out in all kinds of different directions. And what looks like in front might actually be like lanterns from a festival, right? There are these spheres that are hovering around, and they've got all these lines that almost look like gilded gold running across them, which I really like. But when you look closer, you realize that they all have these spikes coming off of them. And what they actually are is balls of magical force, right? And they're just so beautiful. What a beautiful way to be destroyed. Imagine being a wizard facing down against this stylized version. That's something I really like as a concept. Taking a magic spell that pre-exists and showing the different variations, how different mages would do it. At the end of the day, everybody who uses Grapeshot is going to be using red elemental magic to inflict damage. But the way they choose to make it look can be altered cosmetically based on the nature of the mage who's casting the spell. And I absolutely love this because the artwork at first looks very inviting. You know, it's like, hey, take me to the festival with you, let's go. And then it's like, oh wait, no, I'm sorry, please don't obliterate me with these crazy spheres of force that you have floating all around, man. It just feels beautiful, and there's almost an effortless look to it. She's got her eyes closed, and I don't know, man, it's so engaging. I absolutely can't help myself. I love this card. This, like I said, when we get into the top 3, it becomes so much harder for me to differentiate. So let's move on to what I have assigned the number 2 spot, and that is Channel. Okay, so Channel is a really old school magic card, and I'm talking like beginning of the game old school, and its power level is so high that it's pretty much banned in everything. I mean, not in cubes, so I can put one in my cube, but overall, it's banned in pretty much everything. The card is incredibly potent. So it's a sorcery that costs 2 green. And what it does is it gives you the ability for the rest of the turn, you can pay 1 of your life to generate a colorless mana. And you can do this as much as you want. So if you're at 20 life and you cast this spell, you can turn 19 of your life into mana on the second turn. You can have 19 colorless mana on the second turn. Yes, you will be at 1 life. You'll be in a precarious position. You definitely wouldn't want to get grape-shotted. But, I mean, let's look at the reality of it. We all know that there's no difference between winning a game at 20 life and winning a game at 1 life. The truth about Magic is the only life point that really matters is your last life point. So Channel was completely bonkers, right? In the beginning of the game, people would literally just use it with a burn spell. You know, a spell that says like pay X, do X damage to target player, like 1 red and X, do X damage to a player. All you need is a couple lands out, and boom, all of a sudden you can be like, hey, you know what, I'll go ahead and pay 19 of my life to get 19 mana. I'll tap my mountain and 1 other land, and voila, look at that. You take a 20-point fireball. I win. So that's like something that's ingrained in the old days of Magic. The Channel Fireball is a really well-known old school combo. So having Channel return as part of this Mystic Archive makes perfect sense. And the Japanese art for it is so absolutely amazing. You have this lovely nature wizard, and she's got this staff. It's cast up above her head, right? And the staff is made out of what looks like a sapling from the woods, right? And you can look at it from a couple of different perspectives. It could be a sapling that somehow got torn down by whatever winds and was given a new life by this nature mage, or it could be a scenario where an ancient forest offered this staff up to a chosen like planeswalking mage or whatever. There's a number of different awesome flavor aspects you can get from it. The staff itself has an incredible nature feel to it. And the way that they're showing the whole like channel working, like she's standing there, the power of her magic is whipping her hair around, and she's drawing energy up out of her own torso. And, you know, obviously the essence, her own life force is being flung up into the air around this staff, just gathered more and more power. It looks so amazing and beautiful, dude. I gotta say, it's a fantastic treatment for Channel, and it is definitely my number 2 pick. Now, my number 1 choice from all of these cards has to be, this one was like I said, the top 3 was a bit of a competition, but this one was always hedging towards number 1 regardless, and that is Growth Spiral. 1 green and 1 blue for an instant that lets you draw a card and play a land, right? So, I mean, ultimately, this is a card that on the surface of it, when you first look at it, go, okay, you know what, that seems okay, but it actually proved to be potent enough that it ended up getting itself banned when it was in Standard. It seems a little more innocuous than it is, but ultimately the ramp that it, I mean, let's be real, it was also combined with certain cards that made it too powerful in terms of the deck that it went into, but in a void, it doesn't particularly feel too powerful. I mean, this isn't on the level of Channel, clearly, right? So I'm not trying to say Growth Spiral is too powerful, but it is a fairly potent little card. Not too shabby. Now, the artwork is absolutely astounding. And this one does the same thing that the Lightning Helix does for me. When I look at the artwork, mostly what I see is green and blue. And the card itself is green and blue. So you have this wizard standing at the water's edge, standing on what looks like a gigantic outcropping of some massive leaf or whatever. You've got all this greenery that is around this body of water, and up out of the body of water, this spiral, this magical spiral of growth is being created. And the idea of a mage that's aligned with both like the blue intellect knowledge gaining aspect and also the green nature and growth aspect combined together, them coming down to the water's edge and creating something that is made out of natural materials like this, just using their magic to grow not only life, but their own knowledge at the same time, is just really appealing to me. This artwork has a very nice, serene and meditative feel to it. It feels almost like, to me, it almost feels like being in like an anime movie or something like that. And you're like traveling through the woods and you come across this mystical glade, this clearing, I should say, that you didn't expect to exist. And you realize there's somebody there. There's a mage at the edge of the water. And they raise their arms up. And all of a sudden, out of the water, this crazy plant starts to like grow up in the air. This crazy growth spiral is going on. And you just stand there transfixed. You don't want to say anything to ruin this moment because you're just caught in awe and wonder. I mean, it's so good. The artwork, dude, the artwork on these Japanese altars are so good. Not altars, alternate art. I've got to be clear about that. Altars are what like fans and other people do. Alternate art are officially created cards. So, like I said before, these cards are absolutely gorgeous. I don't think there was a single of the Japanese alternate arts that I saw that I went, I don't like this. They're all beautiful in their own way, and I'm strongly tempted to do a live stream going over all of them over on my Hatcher channel. I might actually do that this afternoon. So I'll put a link down there because I've already done 2 Strixhaven spoiler live streams over there. So I'll put a link to the second one down at the top of the comment section. You can watch that if you like. And then also you'll be at the right channel if you want to be around for a live stream where we just gush over Japanese alternate art from Strixhaven's Mystical Archive because it's so beautiful. Now, that's all I have to say. Let me know your thoughts. Tell me in the comments what your top 5 is, actually. Tell me which cards you would pick from the archive Japanese alternates because it's insane, and I guarantee that people are going to be drawn to different artworks. They're like Claim the Firstborn was, there's so much good stuff. Anyways, go check it out. Let me know what you think in the comments below. List of my patrons here scrolling on by. Thanks for supporting the channel, and I will see all of you, my friends, tomorrow.